Hi, I'm Irene Tansman, author of A.B. and Arlene's Autism War. If you have a loved one who's enrolled in a rehabilitation facility in Massachusetts, or you are considering rehabilitation for your loved one with intellectual disability and/or autism, or you yourself are enrolled in a rehab facility, please consider joining the Rehabilitation Families in Massachusetts Facebook group. Today, I'd like to talk to you about how to teach your loved one with autism or intellectual disability to speak. And at the very least, I'd like to provide tips to help your loved one become more communicative, if not by oral speech, by other means of communication. My video is not a substitute for a consultation with a behaviorist or a speech therapist. I am not a BCBA, speech therapist, or special educator. In addition, my own son is an adult who does not speak clearly or fluently. However, he has made progress throughout the years, and I am hopeful he will continue to make progress. I've learned a lot from some top-notch behaviorists by reading, by watching other vloggers, and by trial and error. I hope that I can impart some of that knowledge to my viewers. I am not an expert on the subject, and my advice should be taken as one person's opinion. If it makes sense to you, you might want to consider what I have to say. When my son was 5 years old, the professionals at his school declared he would never have oral speech. And they said the only ethical choice at that point was to stop working on oral speech. Instead, they slapped a few blurry photos along with a couple of Mayor Johnson stick figure pictures onto a cardboard, and this was supposed to be his new, quote, communication method. Mind you, the pictures and icons had nothing to do with anything my son wanted or needed, nor were they decipherable to anyone who couldn't read what they were. This was a different time and place, but I want to urge my viewers not to accept such nonsense. I had very few choices in terms of programming, so I continued to teach my son myself at home, and I used the school program as a desperately needed respite program. I was shocked at their declaration because he met all his speech goals, either on time or ahead of time. I taught him these goals at home, and I made sure that he met them. However, somehow he was supposed to make the jump from repeating sounds to fluent oral speech. And because he didn't make this jump, they declared him nonverbal. Many of the professionals I dealt with since then also refused to work on oral speech. So when is the right time to give up working on oral speech? In the 1990s, age 5 was a popular time. Perhaps it's wise to give a child a few more years, maybe until age 7. Surely you don't think that we should be working on oral speech for someone who's already an adult? Wouldn't that be a waste of time? As a matter of fact, I see a lot of wastes of time in the system for those with IDD, but working on oral speech isn't one of them. There is no proof that individuals miss out on something because of working on oral speech. You might want to stop working on oral speech if brain scans show that the speech centers in the brain are damaged. Otherwise, there is no reason to stop working on this. If you can think of a reason to stop working on this, please tell me in the comments below. I intend to continue working on obtaining as much oral speech as possible with my son. If, God willing, I make it to 100 years old and my son is 73 years old. I will still work on obtaining oral speech with him, regardless of what the professionals have to say. So, when should augmentative alternative communication, or AAC, be introduced? And does AAC prevent oral speech from developing? I believe that AAC should be introduced as soon as possible. I say this because we want to establish communicative intent. The learner needs to understand that communication can get him or her what he or she wants. We want the learner to choose communication over some maladaptive way of communicating, like tantrum, self-injurious behavior, or stealing. My son likes stealing. Now, many parents worry that using AAC will prevent the development of oral speech. I believe the reason that learners on AAC don't develop oral speech is that the professionals don't work on the oral speech, and in some cases, they don't even talk to the learners. It has nothing to do with the AAC itself, but it has to do with the attitudes of those working with learners who use AAC. The AAC will help the learner understand what communication can do for him or her and will facilitate oral speech. So why is your loved one with autism and or IDD nonverbal? There could be a variety of reasons. My own son has trouble forming the words in his mouth. His articulation is extremely poor. I continue to work on improving his articulation, and someday I hope to find a good speech therapist who could help me with this issue. So far, I've been unable to find someone willing to work on this issue with an adult in my geographical area. Another reason your loved one with autism and or IDD isn't speaking may have to do with him or her not acquiring requesting skills, otherwise known as manding skills. The old 1970s style discrete trial teaching is still alive and well. I've seen people using the modern technology, they're using the iPad, but the teaching style is still the old 1970s discrete trial teaching. They have not moved on from that blunt instrument. So the parent, the teacher, or therapist asks the learner in this old style teaching, will ask the learner to answer a question, and the learner responds based on what was asked. However, the learner never asks for anything and never asks a question. Some parents think that the learner is doing well because she can answer complex questions in a complete sentence on her iPad. But she tantrums when she has had enough of the teaching session. She doesn't ask to leave the session. She wets her pants because she doesn't ask to go to the bathroom when she needs to. And she never insists on one activity versus another. Being able to make requests means that without anybody asking her what she wants, she grabs her iPad, navigates to the correct communication board, gets the teacher's attention or the mother's attention, and then makes her request. If in a teaching session, the only person making requests is the teacher and the learner only responds, there is a problem there. The learner may not know that the tables can be turned, that she can ask the questions, that she can make the requests, that she can make the choices, and the teacher must be the one to respond. Until that dynamic is changed, oral speech won't occur. Why? Because the learner doesn't know that she has the power to make a request and initiate her own positive reinforcement. When she realizes this, it is powerful and will cause a jump in functional communication, and perhaps oral speech as well. You must get her or him to initiate her requests without asking something like, "What do you want?" She must be the one to do the talking, and that will make all the difference in the world. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.